In this lesson, we'll be creating an NC program. After completing this lesson, you'll be able to create an NC program, demonstrate how to configure an NC program, and demonstrate how to post code from an NC program. Let's carry on with the file from our previous example, and let's talk about our SoftJaw Setup 1 and SoftJaw Setup 2. We've explored both of these when we were talking about creating multiple G54 and G55 setups so that both sides could be run at the same time. So now we want to explore what that actually looks like when we output an NC file rather than posting code. So we want to go back into our browser and show our SoftJaw fixture and hide our link. I'm going to rotate this around. And then I'm going to take a look at SoftJaw Setup 1 and edit, because last we came in and we used multiple WCS offsets. So we're going to reset this to WCS 1. And then for the second setup, we're going to make sure that this is set up as WCS 2. So this means if we posted both of these at the same time, that we would see G54 and G55 in the code. Notice it says one or more operations are invalid, so let's make sure that we expand this and we regenerate these because we've been in and out of the manufacturing workspace a few times. Now let's go ahead and post this, and it tells me that we have multiple WCS. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and post the code. And note that our toolpath contains slot, pec drill, and tap that are referencing G54, and then our SoftJaw, as it gets started, references G55. And remember, when we talked about this option, this is where we would have two positions, whether they're fixtures or vices in a machine, and the machine knows that G54 is on vice 1 and G55 is on vice 2. So that way you can set parts up into a stop on a fixture, whatever the case might be, and you can run both at the same time. We've also explored the option to create multiple WCS offsets, where we copied SoftJaw Setup 1 3 different times. We organized it by tool, so that way we could create 3 parts at the same time. But now with both of these selected, let's go into our Setup dropdown and select Create NC Program. Creating an NC program is slightly different. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make the name or number 11,000. We're going to add the comment SoftJaw Setup 1 and 2. And notice that it has an output folder, the extension, using the document units, and then we also have in here the post configuration that we want to use. We're going to filter by mill. We're going to take a look at, in this case, we're going to go to our Haas mill, and we're going to be using the Haas pre-NGC. Now remember, we're not looking at a multi-axis set of toolpaths. We're looking at strictly 3-axis toolpaths. So we're going to be using that pre-NGC. Next, in the Properties section, notice that we have a lot of options in here. When we're using the Post Configurator, notice that these are a lot of the options that we see in the green box in the bottom right-hand corner. Whether or not we're using a chip transport, fast tool change, home position center, optional stop, and so on. Next, we have Operations. And this is where we really start to see the benefit of using this NC program rather than just posting the code. So from here you can see everything that we have in our browser. Multi-axis setup 2, we have our link in SoftJaw, and then we have everything that we can see here in SoftJaw Setup 1 and SoftJaw Setup 2. So when we're talking about creating this NC program, one thing that we can do is turn off the G54 probe location as well as the manual NC. So that way, as we're looking at the output, you can see exactly what toolpaths we're talking about, and you'll notice that we see the work offset, G54, and then for the 2 SoftJaw operations, G55. So again, this is a different way that we can talk about or think about posting or outputting our code. Once we select OK, now note that we have NC programs, and NC Program 1 is inside of our browser. So NC Program 1 I'm going to rename to NC SoftJaw No G54. By no G54, I mean that we don't have that G54 location in the manual NC portion. Then I can select them, again create another NC setup, we're going to be using the same milling capabilities. We're going to use the same Haas machine. So we're going to search for Haas automation and that same pre-NGC Haas. This program I'm going to set to 11,001. Then the comment is going to be soft jaws, and it's going to have with our G54 location. And then under properties, we'll leave all of these as the default settings. But inside of operations, again, I'm going to minimize the other operations. But this time I want to post that G54 location, but I want to omit the manual NC. I don't want to have an optional stop pop into the code. I simply want to output all of the first set of operations for the drilling and slotting, and then also the operations that I'm interested in for the soft jaw setup. So if I select OK, now we have that secondary NC program created. So I'm going to rename this one to be NC soft jaw with G54. So now I have these NC programs that are building up in my browser, just like I have my models, just like I have my setups and my toolpaths. The benefit here is now I've already decided what code, what information I want to post. If I go back and I make changes to some of these operations, for example, for the soft jaw finish, if I come in and I edit this, and I decide that I want to adjust the passes, maybe the step over needs to be a little bit smaller at 0.03, I say OK, it regenerates it. That toolpath and that information is contained within both of these. If I right click, I have the option to select Post Process. Notice that it tells me that multiple WCSs with different offsets are in there, and that's okay. It's posted. You notice in the bottom right hand corner it's posted successfully. It's saved it to the location we selected, and we can click View Code. So the benefit here is that we can pre-decide exactly which toolpaths we want to include, what information we want to include, maybe some post options that we want to change, like turning on and off optional stops, for example. And then at any point in time, we can just decide to post that information. So again, it saves us a little time and it gives us an extra level of customization that we can do when we're trying to decide how to output information. And this is a great example because we have a soft jaw that contains a counterbore in this case for a G54 location. And while that could be on both of them, we might decide to not cut it on the second one. From here, let's make sure that we go ahead and save our file before we move on to the next step.
Thank you for watching our channel. Please like, share and subscribe our channel, and don't forget to press on bell icon.